It's the Damascus Encounter again, and we are so delighted to have you on the program. Today we'll have a wonderful story, a wonderful experience of this child of God who encountered Jesus at a very tender age 13 to be specific, and he has followed Jesus all the way. I have with me in the studio Elder Oluwafemi Adefala, who will be sharing with us his experience and how he encountered Jesus. Elder Adefala, welcome to the Damascus Encounter.
Thank you for having me.
Share with us a little bit of your background growing up as a kid.
Okay, thank you. I grew up as a kid in a very humble community in Bariga, and there we have
In Lagos.
In Lagos,
Yeah.
there we have a mixture of religions all around. There are Christians, there are Muslims, but my parents, they attended at some point the Deeper Life Church other times, but my mom eventually, attended the White Garment Church, the Church of the Lord Aladura. So I was with them, but at the very tender age of about 11, 12, I started feeling this nostalgia that there's still something missing, and and then I constantly wanted to learn more. So because I attended the Catholic school, I learned about the catechist, and then I was even intending to become an altar boy. But one of the days that we visited St. Dominic's, I saw, lots of images. And at home, I already learned that we shouldn't bow down to images.
Okay.
So seeing that people made obeisance to those images gave me concern.
Okay.
And it made me to want to ask questions. But when you pay obeisance to images, does it not signify that you are worshiping those images? So I asked some of the Reverend Fathers questions.
Okay.
But they had explanations for everything that was done. But deep down myself, I knew
You just were not satisfied.
I was not satisfied. So it unsettled me a lot. So I left and I abandoned, the dream of becoming an altar boy.
Altar boy.
But I can tell you, my neighbor who went on with that is a Reverend Father today, Reverend Father Yemi Taiwo. But for me, I joined the Anglican Church.
Interesting.
Yes.
I am a little bit interested in this aspect of the Aladura aspect of worship and your growing up. How was that for you?
That was quite interesting. We had, lots of dances during worship. We had lots of praise and song with clapping hands. We had lots of bell ringing in the church. Yes, and we had also lots of sermons, and we had lots of family camping, what you call Tabora.
Okay, that was the camp meetings.
Camp meetings for families, and then my mother would take us there. But where I really, got enough of that was when I was fellowshipping at a particular location in Akoka. And then during one of the worship, the minister in charge of that congregation, I realized that he had 2 wives. And then one of the worship, there was a battle breaking out between the 2 of them. It felt very untidy for me. I felt like my God cannot be in this kind of place where there is confusion. So I thought to myself that I think I have not found a place of worship. This was after I went to join the Anglican Church with a friend, and I left back to the Church of the Lord Aladura with my mom. But right there on that day, I decided that I had had enough. I was not going to church again.
And all of this happened
within the space of between being 10 years old and 12 years old.
12 years old.
Yes,
you
all
had
of that.
this yearning for, I need to know God more, and there is a way you expected that serving God should be, which was absent in the experiences that you had.
Absolutely correct. You see, there's a part of the Bible, I think it's in John 6:43. It says, "It is my Father who calls such as should be saved." It's the one who calls them. So I constantly felt God was calling me. I constantly felt it was drawing me closer to Him. But He made me go through all these places just to learn something. And I want to tell you that experience has continued even till today. So we were there, in front of my house. Some group came together. They said they were going to have a 2-week program, and then I should come and join them. And I asked, which group are those? They say it's Seventh-day Adventist. I said, okay, I haven't heard about that before. He said, they go to church on Saturday. I said, that sounds rather strange. All of my life, I have attended church on Sundays. So this was quite, strange to me. But I was interested, I was curious. So I would join them night after night. And night after night, they dig out from the Bible amazing facts, like I have never known them before. I was excited, but I was also very cautious because it felt too good to be true. But each night, like the Berea Christian, I went back to my mom to ask her, questions. I learned this. What do you think about it? You're a prophetess. And regularly and, repeatedly, she would tell me, oh, that is correct. Oh, that is correct. And then when we got to the usual subject of Sabbath and on resting on Sabbath, I asked her pointedly, I said, this is what I have read, and it's from the Bible.
Why are we not doing that?
Why are we not doing that? Oh, she said, no. That changed on the day, Christ was resurrected. I said, oh, is there a Bible passage for that? He said, no, I have to let you know, the church does not only run by the Bible alone, but also by the tradition. I said, who would I rather believe or follow? Tradition or thus says the Lord? So I told her, if that is all explanation that she has to offer, I think I will go with these people to their church.
And what was her reaction? What did she say?
Interestingly, she never objected to it.
Okay.
She never did. She felt the kind of question I was asking her, I was ready to find answers. So she allowed me to go with them. I would visit the church. I didn't accept to be baptized immediately, but I was constantly studying and struggling because for me, it had implication. If I were to take the baptism immediately and then something comes up along the line, then I change my mind. So I didn't want to do that. So between the age of 12 and 13, I continued to study with them. Because when they finished the 2 weeks program, I went with them to Maryland Church in particular to witness baptism by immersion.
Okay.
I still remember the experience.
And that experience, you seeing people get baptized, changing the whole story of your life, your vision when it comes to faith and church.
Absolutely.
You want to explain a little bit about what exactly you felt, how you felt, how you saw people get into the waters to get baptized.
Thank you very much. The roll call was made. Person after person went into the water. And as they went into the water, something moved in me. And I desired the experience. But it still felt too early for me to take that decision. I went back home to study. But then I got an invitation to Yaba Church in Lagos. There's a church in Yaba Church, Old Yaba Road. The very first day I visited that church, I felt a vision burst on my side that told me, son, this is the place I've been taking you this whole time. And I want to tell you, my experience since that day has never remained the same. I have come there to know new families. I've come there to have new brothers, new uncles, new aunties. It felt like a family place. In fact, if you ask me today, my brothers, I'll say to you like Jesus Christ, they are those that we fellowship here together.
We fellowship together.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I am a little bit intrigued when I think about how early you came to know God and you got baptized. Well, people get baptized at 12 and so on. But that deep conviction, what it was that was driving you, that made you feel this is not good enough, this is what it should be. I'm curious. Your mother being a prophetess.
Yes.
Was there any vision, something that talked about you having to toe that line of God or search for God?
Interestingly, I'll say not quite so. But it was just a constant feeling of emptiness, each of those places I went to. And then it was until I came to this place, to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I felt the truth that were, unearthed from the Bible. I felt that this couldn't be told better by anyone. For example, I was taught how to pray, how to study the Bible. In fact, the very fact that you could study the Bible for yourself without any intermediary endeared me to the faith, in the sense that I didn't need my mom to come and explain things to me. I could just go to the Bible for myself.
And study.
But when I was a Catholic, it was different. We would rely on the interpretation by the Reverend Father. My principal then was Reverend Father Slattery. We would have to, if you have any question, you have to go to him. So, but it was different. I could literally have conversation with the pastor. That felt strange to me, unbelievable. And from the very moment I came to the church, I was admitted into the fellowship, as if I have always been around. And I can tell you now that from that on till today, I have held various church positions. I have served in various church capacity, and nobody ever said, "Oh, when did he come around?"
So it just was home.
It was home for me.
Settled into it.
I'm telling you, it just felt like home for me.
Tell me a little bit about your educational background. What exactly did you study at university?
Okay, because I had early guidance, from the church, because the church would organize leadership training. They will organize symposium and seminars. I learned early to benchmark a few individuals in the church,
Okay.
And then once I, met someone, Elder Isaac Fatade, today, it was then the MD of a Universal Trust Bank.
Okay.
I learned that he studied accounting, and I told myself I also want to be an accountant. So I studied accounting eventually, and then I went on to do my professionals with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. So today, by God's grace, I'm a fellow of the institute.
Wow.
Yes, and that has also afforded me opportunity to serve the church in volunteer, capacity as an assistant treasurer in local church, and then eventually as auditor for the General Conference Auditing Service, which I served there until, for 8 years until last year. And then it's been a wonderful experience.
When you get a job with the General Conference Auditing Service, for example, it feels like top-notch, the place to be. Yet you had reasons to think, I'll leave. Why did you leave?
Thank you very much. For me, there are two reasons. Number one is that before I came to join the General Conference Auditing Service, I was very big on personal ministry. I had Adventist Cloud Cathedral, which was doing very well on social media, Facebook. And then by the time I came in, it became a source of conflict, in the sense that the church in Nigeria had a lot of membership. We had a lot of membership from church in Nigeria, and then we had some, issues, that put me in not a very good light if I continue to manage the site, because people were beginning to politicize the platform. Okay. So my immediate supervisor told me I had to choose between this ministry and the job. So when they came in conflict in that manner, I decided I would shut down what we were doing. But each time I thought about it, from 2014 till date, a lot of things that we would have achieved, we couldn't. So that is partly one reason for me. Then the other reason was I had a leader in the person of Paul Douglas, who then left GCAS to be the treasurer of the church at the GC. And I felt I still want to continue to be, along his, line of work. So I had to look for opportunities within the church where I can still continue to have interaction with him. Though not directly, but I felt I needed, because people follow leaders.
Okay.
So I still wanted that connection. So as God will have it, there was an opening in Babcock for the group finance officer position for Babcock Investment Group. And then I was asked if I was interested, And as God will have it, I showed interest.
It's a good job.
Yeah. So, but coming to Babcock now, it has given me opportunity because it removed the conflict that I had. I was here on this campus. I saw opportunity for personal ministry, but because of the client auditor, relationship between GCAS and Babcock, I couldn't do a whole lot of things. But now that I have left that behind me, we have already started doing something. For example, last year, by the time this year was starting, I myself with some team, we selected a daily devotional that we believe will be very impactful campus-wide. And we shared it with the university pastor and the division of spiritual life. Ye shall receive power. And that is what we have been using since this year in many of the units in Babcock. And we are beginning to see some, testimonies of the outpouring of God's, Holy Spirit among the people. And a case in point is the recent graduation that we had.
Okay.
Over time, most of the graduating class, they have picked, either names, like names from Greek mythology, like Orion, like Aquila, and all of those, which were not basically having connection with biblical faith. But this graduation that we had recently, they chose onyx. If you check the Bible, you discover that onyx is very, very particular with God. When he was designing the breast, the garment of the priest. In fact, he asked them to put the names of the tribes of Israel on the onyx. So, and it was even the same stone that was the Urim and the Thummim, by which God spoke to the people. So when they chose that, I was delighted. And they even chose a mantra that says, enthroned by grace, established by faith. The connection for me, I could say to myself, oh, the Spirit of God is walking around here. Yes.
I find, I love the aspect of you being very big when it comes to evangelism. You look around on campus and you see this array of students, over 10,000, and you look at them the way they live and how they are spiritually. What's your vision when it comes to student life on campus?
But this question you just asked me now is very pertinent to me, because in 2019, I had led a team of local church members to organizing a program called the Forum, by which we engage leadership on campus on how we could be more intentional about reaching the students.
Okay.
Because then, as AMO leader, I believe our primary neighbors are the students. Yes. So we were intentional about taking mission to our neighbors.
Okay.
So we noticed that the worship centers, they are not engaging the student enough. Yes. I have been privileged to preach at a few of them, and I've realized that during Sabbath school, it is as if we are even sermonizing, rather than engaging the students, allowing them to draw the things from the Bible by themselves. So I see, opportunity for us to be more intentional about that. In fact, to create, a different study environment for them. We can use, materials like steps to life, whereby you teach them, you are intentional about teaching them how to study the Bible, how to pray, what is the state of the dead,
and teach them
basic and be pointed about it. So I see that we can have more impact on the student that way than having to sermonize to them. And we have made a test run of this in my church. Okay. You won't believe it. By the third week, the students that normally are disinterested in participating, they were beginning to ask us to help them procure Bible so that they can actually read from themselves. And what did we do differently? We just made them, okay, this is the Bible passage you want to read. You open this one, you open this one, you open this one. And by the time we were done, every member of the class had the opportunity of reading a Bible passage. So when we do that, it engages the student more, because now they are participating. Because learning occurs by three means. One is hearing it. The other one is, doing it by participating. Yes, and the third one is practicing it. So by the time you allow them to do that, and then you now give them assignment to do, to return back by the next Sabbath, they would have participated. And the three, means of passing knowledge across would have occurred.
And is there any kind of collaboration between what you are doing, your church, and other local worship places on campus? So this can also go around and is not just localized in your worship place? Just curious.
Currently, none. But I had the opportunity of serving on the I Will Go committee for the university. And one of the recommendations we made was that this should be done. That what we are practicing there should also be practiced.
Carried out in other worship centers.
Yes, that's what I recommended to them. So whether it has now trickled down the line, I'm not sure. But personally, even where I am working currently, our primary objective is actually evangelizing. And we do this through our morning devotion every day. We are intentional about communicating faith to non-Adventist member of our workforce.
Let me ask you this question.
Please go ahead.
Having done so much sharing, evangelizing, has it ever crossed your mind, maybe you could be a pastor? Have you ever felt the urge, the call? Or do people tell you? And what do you feel about it?
A few times people have spoke to me about that, including the former university pastor, Pastor Jewali.
Okay.
He has spoken to me about it. But where you can do a lot more for the church by, doing personal ministry. I have come to know that. Let me tell you, I have a group that I've been working with, Game for Christ Ministries. It's a collaboration between laity and clergy. And Pastor Femi Adeshino, we work together on that. We have planted so many churches in the sub-region of, western part of Nigeria and, even in the north. In fact, let me tell you, we used to have so many baptisms because we were collaborating with conferences like Pastor Dangana. We used to be the handler for some of our, pioneers. We call them pioneers. So we engage them for 6 months. They go into unentered areas, to engage with people. And we have baptism by them, and they are, added to local congregation. And when there are no local congregation, we do reaping effort, whereby we are able to now establish, small church, and then we hand over to conferences. So we have done a bit of that here and there. I know, some of these names, even some of the pioneers I've never met, but we the stipends that we send to them every month help to keep the work going around those places. So you don't necessarily have to be a pastor, because when you become a pastor, you enter into the church structure.
And then a lot of things that you don't want to get involved with.
At all. But what I do hope is that, what someone told me rather is that there is a ministry in the finance area in the church. And I can tell you that during my days as auditor, one of the things I used to do, particularly in the northern area, is influencing the decisions of the decision makers to say, we can work with pioneers. And today they are doing a lot of pioneering work and mission up north. And then some of them they have sent to universities like Babcock University, Adeleke University, to go and get first degree so that they can do more of the work that they are doing. And I can tell you, I was delighted when I met my brother, Fred Don, the musician. He's completing his program. If he has not completed at the last graduation now, he's one of those people that felt, pioneering job is the way to go. And today he has his BA in mission. So you see, you don't have to be a pastor to be able to impact the work. From the finance ministry that you do, even working as a treasurer does a lot in influencing the decision at that level.
What advice do you have? Very briefly, I don't know what your take is on this. Sometimes people feel very disgruntled or bitter towards treasurers and think treasurers are insensitive, they are almost not human. What's your take, and how do you think treasurers can do better when they actually carry out their jobs, their duties to help mission?
Thank you. The duty of the treasurer is to see that the finances of the entity is used for the intended purpose. And interestingly, conferences, unions, divisions, they have this money coming with labels on them.
Okay.
So the treasurer wants to make sure that what is designated for mission is used for mission and not for anything else. But there are people who want it to be used for other purposes. So the treasurer has to stand his ground and say, no, this is what this money is meant for, and this is what it should be used for. One of the treasurers that I found very fondly working with in the days, in my days as auditor, is the Dangana, who is now the treasurer for the West Central Africa Division. In fact, when I heard about it, I had to call him to congratulate him. And he is somebody that knows that money comes with labels.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we could say, if we need to have better understanding of the treasurers, and then we understand why they act the way they do and do the things they do.
Yes.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. It's been amazing and interesting listening to you, hearing your story and how far God has led you. Got baptized at age 13 and up till date, to the glory of God, you are serving in the church. Did you ever walk outside the Seventh-day Adventist Church after graduation?
After graduation, yes. My first job was outside. I worked for Samuel Adetifa & Co. as an auditor. That was where I started my audit experience. Yeah. Then from there, I joined Crown Preserve. Crown Preserve is still non-Adventist, but the managing partner is an Adventist. Mm-hmm. So I worked there. In fact, it was there that I had the opportunity of auditing Victory Sanctuary. Okay. At least 2 times. So, and that helped me to also have some insight, and it made me understand why God eventually led me to work with the General Conference Auditing Service. So it would appear to me that my life already was planned by God, and every step of the way, He guided me one way or another. Because before I pick up the appointment with GCAS, I had an appointment with Sterling Capital. In fact, I had passed all of my tests and exams and all of that. I had meeting with management only with the MD, and then I will be giving my letter. But for some reasons, that never happened. Repeatedly, I was invited, but it never happened until I got the call that, GCAS has offered me a job. So God seemed to have planned everything.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. It's amazing, and God always plan our lives and stays all the way with us when we give our hearts and everything about us to Him,
yes.
Which is what you have done. Thank you very much, Elder Oluwafemi Adefala, for sharing your story and being a blessing on the Damascus Encounter today. I want to believe somebody has been blessed and lives will never be the same. That'll be all on today's edition of the program, The Damascus Encounter. You've heard it all, and I do hope that you also are beginning to sense God talking to you in any way. If He is, and you are beginning to feel that nudge, why don't you turn in to Jesus? Until next time, when I bring you another edition of the program, I want to say keep watching Hope Channel and expecting your Damascus Encounter. Bye-bye.